بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف وجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره. I've been reflecting on different levels of involvement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our actions. Different levels of involvement of Allah subhanahu in our action, or different levels of involving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our actions. Okay? So, I'm not still 100% clear about this, but I want to share with you and see what is your idea.
Shall I start?
Yes, please. One is you seek assistance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You seek assistance. Either from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or from the means that He provides us. For example, we say, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. We only worship you and we only ask you for assistance. So we ask Allah for assistance. But you can also say we ask Allah for assistance through some means. And that is استعينوا, for example, بالصبر والصلاة. You know, some people, for example, mistakenly say, for example, وَبِهِ نَسْتَعِينُ. Have you heard some people say وَبِهِ نَسْتَعِينُ?
Yeah.
بِهِ نَسْتَعِينُ, I think is not very accurate. Thank you. Because when it is for Allah, you don't use be. It's مفعول be without حرف جر. إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. نَسْتَعِينُكَ or إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. Ba is used for that instrument. So if you ask Allah for help, you ask Allah for help through salat, bis salat, or through patience, bis sabr. Is it clear? Esta'inullah bis sabr. Esta'inullah bis salat. So you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for help through something. Either you are patient, and because of your patience, you expect assistance to come from Allah. Either patience in general or fasting, as is an instance of patience. Or you are saying your prayer and asking Allah for assistance. This is one level. The second level is tawakkul. Why tawakkul is higher than seeking assistance? Or you may say, no, I don't agree with you, Sheikh. You make maybe false assumption. So maybe you say no. But I think tawakkul can be a higher stage than seeking assistance. What is your opinion? Just one person, yeah.
There's a dua.
One brother, one sister. Yeah.
One dua of Imam Zainul Abidin. He says that, "Oh my Lord, if you haven't commanded me to ask, I would never ask you, because my whole umur goes back to you, and you are the best one to do the tawakkul." It's the meaning, something like that. A long time I read this.
So this is the prayer and tawakkul. Yeah?
Yeah, like Imam says that if you haven't commanded me for prayer, I never commanded because you
Yeah.
do.
But what about ista'ana and tawakkul? What is the relation to ista'ana? Yes.
I think your prayers, tawakkul is very important because once you start praying, you put your trust in Allah, and your prayers will get answered as much as you believe for it to be answered. And so therefore you're limiting your belief in Allah, whether He's capable of doing it or not.
When you do tawakkul,
Yeah.
what do you do?
When you believe in the power of Allah fully, that's what tawakkul is. So if you don't believe that your prayers will be answered or not once you pray, you're limiting yourself to as much as that prayer will be answered.
Thank you. Maybe we can say in this way. Let me give an example. I am doing something. Okay, I'm doing something. For example, I want to carry something heavy from one place to another place. It's strong, it's heavy. So I ask one of you, please help me. What does it mean? It means that I am in charge of this action. I am doing it. I just need you to help me. It means I am fine. I am in control. I am in charge. Just you help me so that I do. Understand?
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, you are driving, okay, a cart, horse and buggy, but it's hill. So you need a little push. So I said, could you push me? But you are in control and you are moving, but someone pushes you. But tawakkul is higher than this. Tawakkul is that you are not just saying, please help me. You have done your best, and you say, okay, the rest of what has remained, I leave it to you. You do it in your own way. Not just do it in the way that I am doing. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
You want to push me from behind, you want to, pull me, you want to, I don't know, whatever you want, just make sure that we arrive there. Okay, this is tawakkul. Then we have tafweed, to submit your effort. You say, I have got stuck, I want to climb, for example, this mountain. Okay, I've got stuck, or I'm, taking my cart to this slippery road. I got stuck. Okay, so I don't know how to move forward. It's not that I'm still working and I'm putting my trust in you for the rest. It's not that I just need your help. I say, you just take over and let me know what I can do. So I come out, I say, you take over, like a car that has gone to a, for example, hole, or when there's snow, sometimes the, one tire is just and you cannot bring it out. So sometimes you ask someone to push, sometimes you say, you take over. I cannot, maybe you have more experience. So tafweed is that you ask Allah to take over. أُفَوِّضُ أَمْرِي إِلَى اللَّهِ. I submit my effort to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I don't just ask Him for assistance. I'm not doing something, then I say I leave the rest, for example, to Him. I just, please you take over. Of course, I will, do something. I will help you as much as I can. It's not that I want to, rest and then put everything on you, but you take over. Is there any higher level than this? Pardon?
Islam.
Taslim, Sheikh.
What does it mean?
Taslim, that you leave everything to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
So what is the difference between tafweed and taslim?
Taslim is, oh Allah, whatever you do with me, bad for me.
No,
Or-
you want to do something. You want to achieve something. So tahfiz means you submit to Allah, delegate it to Allah, and say, you take over. So then what is higher than this?
شيخنا, I think قال له ربه أسلم إبراهيم عليه السلام.
Okay.
It is no longer I want something and please you take over, let us get to this destination. No, I don't want anything anymore. I want what you want only. I have no more want. I don't exist anymore at all. Complete submission at all levels, at every.
That's a good point, but maybe it's not taslim.
I think ما يشاءون إلا يشاء الله. I think the Sahih is to be told.
That's beautiful. Very beautiful. Yes. You are also pointing the same thing. Very beautiful, mashallah. Salawat for Dr. Mustafa.
Allah salli ala Muhammad wa ali.
The fourth is that you say, who am I to have any affair so that I ask Allah for help, or I put my trust in Him, or I delegate it to Him? وَفَقْبُضُ amri, I don't have any amr. Just, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I am at His service. I don't see that I am of any significance that I define what will be, for example, the way Allah is going to help me, or the way I want to involve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or I have any, for example, kind of plan for myself. Yeah? A servant doesn't have any concern of his own. A servant doesn't have any plan of his own, doesn't have any aim of his own, doesn't have any objective of his own. A servant is just concerned about being and remaining a servant. That's your only concern. Am I a servant? And am I going to be able to be servant? That's the only concern that I have. So it seems that maybe a higher level than even tafwiz is that you think that you have no affair, no amr, nothing of your own, and therefore instead of submitting your affair or deleting your affair to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you put yourself at the service of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then what happens is that there will be no difference between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's aims and objectives. There is no separation, because you have forgotten yourself, you have decided not to have any concern, any interest of yourself. Then you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala work not as two partners, or not equal partner, or for example a bigger partner, a smaller partner. You work with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but as a shadow and the real one. We at the best are shadow. The real one is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if we achieve this, then the work for which you were worried is not as important as this condition that you are trying to keep or achieve. So when you start with some, for example, A, and you try to, for example, achieve it, in the process, inshallah, you will be able to improve your understanding and deepen your reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, rethink about your relation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you wanted to sort out a problem, but in this process, you have gained something which is more important than solving that problem, and that is you have come to a very, very close relation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then you don't bother, what was the problem and what was, the thing that was bothering you. And therefore, you wish that you just keep this state, and if you are offered that, if you like, we can take you back and, go to this process. But every time you go to that process, it would make you, higher in your connection with Allah, in your relation with Allah, you will say, certainly I love. If you can take me 70 times to this process, as some of the companions of Imam Hussein said, for example, if I am able to give my life to you and then come back to dunya and give my life to you, I am happy. I just want to be given opportunity so that I go through this test and just come out of it with full sacrifice. But when I sacrifice, I don't lose. When I sacrifice, I gain you. I lose my little, insignificant understanding, ego, and what I gain is unity with you. Who is losing? You're not losing. You are gaining more. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to enable us to serve Him as true servants. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us to be all the time at His service. If there is any impurity in us that would disqualify us from being a true servant, we ask Allah to remove those impurities. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help, inshallah, our community to move as a community which is thinking of its role in this world as being a servant. Sometimes servant is one person, but sometimes a community is a servant of Allah, is at the service of Allah. And this is what Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam said, ummatan wa min dhurriyatina ummatan muslimatan. Like we want a nation in our progeny that as a whole they are also submissive to you. Not few individuals, or not even all members individually, but as a whole to be submissive to Allah, which means not only as individuals, but with their interpersonal relations and with everything that they do as individuals and as a community, they are all submissive to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillah rabbil alamin.